All right, so we're at Mantoul. We have David and Eric here. We're going to just ask them a few questions while we've got a few minutes. They both have a lot of experience in woodworking and at Mantoul. David, we'll start with you. What's your background?
Uh, been woodworking for since 1978.
Oh, wow.
Started framing houses, then went on to trimming houses, remodeling, and then into architectural millwork. And taught high school for 4 years, and been at Mantoul for about 12 years now.
And what's your favorite part of woodworking? What would you say your specialty is?
I think teaching is probably what gives me the most pleasure.
Okay.
And as far as woodworking, I really enjoyed remodeling and furniture repair because of the challenges that comes along with those two areas.
Okay. What about you, Eric?
Similar. I've been woodworking 53 years. 1972 is when I got introduced to woodworking. Did apprenticeships in California and was a union apprentice carpenter for a few years. Built houses, remodeled houses. Never taught like David did. I did do some adult education classes, but I don't count that. Off and on, in and out of the shops for a long time. And I've worked here at Mantoul for 12 years or more.
Okay. And what's your specialty, or what's your niche that you like?
Well, actually, I like hearing what people are making nowadays. Some of the cool tools that are out there. Some of the things I never got into. Listening to some of these new woodworkers, that kind of intrigues me. Wanting to do something different. But as far as the woodworking itself, I would say probably the ultimate putting the finish on a piece of woodwork is the best thing about woodworking.
Yeah. Do y'all feel like there's a new up and coming group of woodworkers, or do you feel like it's fallen off a little bit?
Well, it's different. It's different from when we started. With the internet and all the videos out there, it's just a different world. And the wood you use, a lot of the epoxies now, and the epoxy colored epoxies, wood we would have thrown away 15 years ago. That's what seems to be the most popular. I don't think there are as many young people getting into it, but they definitely have a different view of things in woodworking than we did. Both social media wise and just the technology of the tools, CNC routers and things like that.
I think we have two types of customers out there: the retirees that have the money, and the young people that don't have the money. And the retirees and people that have the money come in and buy the beautiful woodworking equipment and whatnot. And where the young people come in, they don't have that money. I encourage them to learn how to measure and use hand tools, get that eye and hand coordination, and then someday when they get that money, they can have a step ahead and be able to produce something with eye and hand rather than going for it.
Hey,
Yeah, sometimes you walk.
Eric, tell me what you think about CNCs. Is that real woodworking?
I like to think I'm more of a romantic woodworker. I'm a immigrant to technology, so and so are you, but you've handled it. Yeah, CNCs. I love what it can do, but yeah, that's a whole new ball game. And again, there's the young people. The young people are they can move into that type of woodworking much easier than some of us that have been immigrant.
And I agree with that. I have a CNC, and even though it's not your traditional woodworking, it has its own challenges, especially for maybe someone who doesn't grow up with computers. But I get as much satisfaction out of creating a program that does what I think it's going to do than I do with finishing a woodworking project too. So it has its place and it has its own rewards. So
So probably a little more attractive to the kids. I mean, I don't want to sound like my dad, but the kids coming up today.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
They-
sure.
And it's easy for them to learn. It is not as much, there's no real hand coordination and stuff. But it is, you have to think of it in a different way. So it's interesting.
So what's been some of your favorite tool innovations of late? I know, David, you really don't like anything that's new, but has there been anything?
Oh gosh, I think the way the battery tools have taken over and gotten so much better and stronger. I think in general, that's been the biggest impact, other than like CNCs, and that's that type of stuff. But everybody is going to the cordless. I was against it at first, I got to admit, but that's when they weren't as good as they are now too. So with the improvement of the brushless motors, it's just amazing what they'll do.
Batteries are a lot different too, aren't they? They'll last a lot longer.
Yes.
That technology is growing, getting better life out of the batteries, and of course the tools that we never thought would be cordless are now cordless, and
Table saws,
table
miter
saws.
saws.
Yeah.
And things that like the Grabo, the DeWalt Grabo. I mean, I never would have thought about having that in the shop, but I'd love to have one. And I've seen other people use it for a lot of different things, and that's just something I wouldn't have thought about. But
Saw stop. I mean, technology, flesh detecting technology. I mean, that's tremendous innovation.
Yeah.
and there seems to be a lot of small tool innovators lately. Startup companies. A lot more than there used to be. It's not just Jet and Powermatic and Stanley. There's people doing some innovative sharpening systems, and small tool batches and stuff. So it's really an economy now for. It doesn't take much to create a business anymore. And if you have a good tool and do small time manufacturing, you don't have to have a big company standing behind you anymore. It's interesting. There are a lot of small companies are coming out.
Social media has definitely helped with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really, and we like to support those people too. We've got
We sure
several
do.
in the
Yeah,
store.
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
So Eric, we were talking earlier today before we were filming, and you were talking about some of the changes that you don't like to see in woodworking is the fact that so many women are getting into it.
That's
So-
not on tape. I'm sure that's not on tape. Oh my God.
We can talk about women in woodworking.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me go into it. First, let me say we were talking a little bit about tools, but in reality, when you come in here and you look around, I mean, it's a mecca. Every tool you want is in here. But in reality, you really don't have to have everything to start, right? To be able to start down this path. What do you need, basically?
Well, I think everybody should be introduced to our wood prep class, just so they can get an introduction on what tools they could really use.
That's a good point.
But to have those tools costs a lot of money. You don't have to have those tools to start off with. And there are jigs and ways to straight edge and flatten boards without the machinery.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes longer to do something, like not as efficient. So if you're doing it for a living, that's one thing. If you're doing it for a hobby, that's another. But eventually, everything comes down to your skill level. Will a $400 miter box be good for you, or a Festool one that's $1,500? The $1,500 saw is very nice. Usually, you get a better tool with more money. But eventually it comes down to your skill level. Someone who's highly skilled can use just about any tool and make it work. Okay. So, but as far as what to start out, if you're talking about, general woodworking and cabinet making, to me, the first tool is a table saw, and then a dust collector maybe for that. But I think with a table saw, a router, and a miter saw, I can do almost anything, that I've been doing. We have some customers that'll come in here and spend $40,000 on a whole shop full of tools, and maybe not use some of those tools at all.
Sure.
So I would encourage, buy what you know you're going to need, and then add to it.
Makes sense.
I've been adding to my shop for years. And, you just, when you see some of these high quality, expensive tools, to have a Festool track saw, let's say, that is a very nice tool. And the confidence you get in a nice tool like that goes a long way in the end result.
And you all touched on classes, and David, I heard you earlier today say you would teach that table saw basics class if one person showed up. And what about the importance of taking a class in your all's opinion?
Well, a lot of people that we do these beginning classes, like the table saw, wood prep, and the router classes, they either have never bought one of the tools and they're not sure what to buy, or they've bought one and are real nervous about how to use it and afraid. And you should be wary. You should you have to have some fear level, but you don't want it to be a paralyzing fear either. So those classes are good to find out what tool would work best for you and how to use it safely and properly. So I encourage anybody that is wanting to get into that kind of woodworking to take those classes.
I feel taking a class, you get to hear it, feel it, and see it. And, when you get introduced to it and you understand what's behind a table saw, let's say, people say, well, you can go online and learn how to use a tool. I don't believe that. I think you need to hear it, feel it, and touch it, and that's what our classes do.
It's totally different when you can interact with the instructor.
Absolutely.
Too. We have, so when people take that class, it's not just me talking and not varying. People are asking questions all the time. To be able to answer them, and some of them will bring their own router in that they're having trouble with, to be able to show them how to use it or what might be wrong with it. You can't do that online.
A perfect example, there's no stupid question. Really. No. You can feed off everybody in that classroom with all the questions that can be asked.
Yeah.
And we have some people that have a little bit of experience in woodworking come to those classes, and I feel if you come away from a class with at least one piece of information that you didn't know about, it's worth the class.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm always surprised at how long-time customers that we have will end up taking one of the classes. So that always surprises me. And what about, new for us this year is some of the ladies' classes. What are you are seeing from as far as women in woodworking, ladies in woodworking? A lot of folks don't realize we're a woman-owned business, a family-owned business.
Well, I think there are a lot of professional women woodworkers out there now, and they bring a different style of woodworking and different outlook on woodworking. I love promoting, and I'm glad we have Anne Marie as our instructor for the Anne Marie and Kim are instructors for our female only class, and I think it's great. When I taught high school, some of my best students were the girls. They just have an eye for detail, and maybe a little more patience than men do.
Excellent. Yeah, that's in a nutshell there. Absolutely.
Let me switch gears a little bit because I get asked this question a lot. Favorite wood finish?
Depends.
In the commercial world, the conversion varnish or pre-catalyzed lacquer that you can spray, that's 90% of the finishes out there for the professionals. Depending on the project you're doing, obviously. Some of the new oils like Odie's oil and Rubio Monocoat are just so easy to use that I think some people fall in that category. They use it because it's easy. Might not always be the best in a particular situation, but that's finishing is the biggest hang up I find for woodworkers. A great finisher can take maybe a mediocre woodworking project and make it beautiful, and a terrible finisher can take a beautiful woodworking project and ruin it.
Like me.
There-
I don't stain wood. I can't stain. He's a master stainer. I can't do it.
There's a reason why the finish guy is the highest paid person in the shop usually, because if he can't do it, nothing looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the oil urethanes, the armor seals, easy, excellent
very
quality
easy.
finish to use. And if you want to have something, sometimes an oil will amber the lighter woods. So a good water-based finish, good durable water-based finish. If you can spray it, that's better. But those are easy to do.
So, 2 more questions. Favorite wood species?
What's my favorite cut of meat? I mean,
It depends.
I like the sapele. I like sapele. I like the scent of it. I like the ease of workability. Finishes out beautiful. It's easy to sand. Of course, your exotics, all your exotics. But I would say my favorite is going to be sapele.
I'm gonna have to go with heart pine. Just it's not the most fun to work.
Yeah.
It can dull tools, but especially if it's if you know where it came from, like a building or something.
Heritage.
So not only are you enjoying that part of the wood's history, but I think it's a beautiful wood to finish. Don't always like working it, but the end product is wonderful.
So, last question. Out of all your experience, what's the toughest job you've had?
Toughest woodworking project or actually job?
Dealer's choice.
I think working at Man Tool might be after being self-employed woodworker for so long, and going to sometimes 3 or 4 jobs a day, different jobs a day, being able to go down to the river and relax if you're having a bad day in the shop. Sitting at one place at one time all day long was tough. Seeing customers come in and talk about all the projects they're doing, is a little tough, but it's a great place to work, and I've really enjoyed it. Met a bunch of people. Suzanne's a great boss, but I think it was difficult transition for me from being a full-time woodworker to being a retail salesman.
What about you, Eric?
Hardest job I ever had was probably framing
Hot sun.
framing homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard work, hot work. That was tough. That's why I became a woodworker inside.
You did that in California too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.